Yeah, I ordered from Dada's.
I love their hamburgers.
Well, heck, we can adjourn now and just go.
The speakers are on, sorry.
Anyway,
George will buy.
right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the special meeting of the City Commission this Thursday, September the 11th. If the clerk could kindly call the roll.
Commissioner Margaret.
I'm here.
Vice Mayor Long.
Here.
Commissioner Cassell.
Here.
Deputy Vice Mayor Burns.
Here.
Mayor Carney.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much.
Point of order, Mayor. This meeting was noticed and calendared as a special meeting,
Yes?
not an emergency meeting. Under Florida's Sunshine Law, the standard is quote-unquote reasonable notice. The Attorney General's guidance recommends at least 24 hours, preferably 72 hours for special meetings, and our city charter sets a floor of 12 hours notice whenever quote-unquote practicable. Tonight we provided roughly 5 hours notice. There's been no showing that 12 hours was impracticable, and there's no new emergency since our 3-1 vote on Tuesday. We anticipated FDOT's actions when we voted. So I want to caution us. Deliberately compressing notice in a way that blocks public input and sidesteps our charter is reckless and unnecessary. It invites sunshine challenges, potential fee exposure, and the loss of public trust. Our charter and public participation rules are not optional. Because this is a special meeting with adequate notice and is being used as a vehicle for an attempted policy reversal, I move that we continue this item to a properly noticed special meeting on Monday the 15th at 3 p.m. immediately before our 4 p.m. workshop and 5 p.m. budget hearing, using the same agenda.
I gave you for a point of order. That's not to make a motion, as you know, so your point of order is so noted.
Can we have the city attorney speak on this? Because I disagree with this notice thing. I got a call last night at 5
Everyone
o'clock.
had notice for the meeting at 2. It was moved to 6 today out of an accommodation to the people on this dais. So to suggest that it was
What
not
about the
noticed-
public? We're not accommodating. There's no one here right now.
That's fine.
This has been a full audience when we've talked about this before. People want to be here for this.
Thank you very much. Your comment was noted for the record. So it's for the
Should we
record.
have the
Your
city
point of order
attorney-
was noted for the record. We're not
Could
in
we
open
have the
for
city
motion.
attorney just speak
Yeah,
to that?
I'd love
'Cause
to
that
hear
was-
if this is properly public notice, and we
Great.
can
I
see
don't
by
need-
the audience that it's clearly not.
So our local rules do address special meetings, Mayor. I disagree with the Vice Mayor respectfully.
Thank you.
This meeting was properly noticed and it was postponed. So the 5-hour difference, I consider that a postponement of the original meeting, and it was. There's our math guy.
Thank you
4
very
hour
much,
difference.
which is my reading of the rules as well.
Can I just read one line from the rules, though, that I think is pertinent? So it's if failure shall not affect the legality of the meeting if a quorum is in attendance. So the failure to properly give 12 hours notice, even according to your understanding, Vice Mayor, it does not affect the legality of holding this meeting. So
I never said it affected the legality.
Well,
It
then-
affects the
then-
public
yeah,
trust
because-
because we're rushing to a meeting
Your-
for no
your
reason.
Your point of order has been noted. Thank you. And you've asked for a city attorney opinion, which we didn't really require. So I'm the one who called this meeting today. And I've got a little statement I'm going to read to you and ask a few questions here. I've been an attorney for decades, and I need to understand the thinking on joining Fort Lauderdale lawsuit over the Pride intersection. I wanted it explained to me like I'm 10 years old. How this fight is winnable under the Florida Statute 316.0775, which demands uniform road markings for safety. FDOT repainted intersections statewide, not just Pride ones. So where's the legal edge here? Suing will cost our taxpayers lots of money, and in addition to compromising potential money from the state that we could be spending on roads, safety, community needs. My question is, why don't we just wait for the Fort Lauderdale outcome? If they win, we win. We discuss what to do next. This is important to understand. If you read the petition that was in Fort Lauderdale, the petition clearly states that if they should prevail, and understand, Fort Lauderdale took this on their own and as a standalone to do their own petition, and their petition, broadly stated, essentially would prohibit the department from enforcing the FDOT letter and substantially identical letters sent to other municipalities. So notwithstanding anything, whatever happens in Fort Lauderdale, this city and every other city in the state will be able to take advantage of whatever the ruling is. That's assuming that the ruling, they're trying to challenge the rulemaking ability, which, you can have petitions for anything, that will not succeed. Fort Lauderdale took the action alone, and the relief that they seek will affect all municipalities. So there was never any reason for Delray to join in. It adds nothing to the result and will only cost our taxpayers money and will put at risk over $60 million. No value added, no upside, just downside. If they lose, we save money. To lay it out simply, what is it worth for Delray's money and how does it beat the law? Let's make sure we're acting in the city's best interest, not just chasing a cause. So please help me understand the logic. Everyone's trying to make this about discrimination. As I said, this is being equally applied to other municipalities around the states. Examples: Daytona Beach had their crosswalk, which had racing flags on it, removed. Okay, that's racing flags. Orlando, we all know about Orlando, where they had their very important street art removed. Port St. Lucie had street art which was comprised of hearts related to a woman, a young girl who had been killed. So it's not about discrimination. And we agreed, and let's go back a little history ago, because I spent a lot of time reading, going through the last meeting. We agreed to join Fort Lauderdale because we were looking for a stay. It was never about the merits of the legal analysis behind their position, which is untenable, unsustainable, and will not win. Why do I know that? Orlando looked at it, Daytona looked at it, Key West looked at it, a myriad of other towns have looked at it, and they said, we cannot win. So just to throw money at a lawsuit because you feel good about it and you want to, as I alluded last week, you can spend principal, do things on principle or principal. When you do things on principle, it costs you principal. I don't do that with taxpayer monies. I have a fiduciary obligation to make an analysis as to whether we can win. Nobody thinks we can win. Nobody. Nobody. And what we are challenging is the ability to do a rulemaking, which all they have to do, and I would suppose the city attorney would confirm this, all they got to do is go back and redo the rule, and then it's done. And by the way, the rule is immediately retroactive because everybody obviously has notice, as we like to talk about. Everyone has notice. So, and we're no longer in the same position. We sought to join that lawsuit, spend money to join the lawsuit, because the purpose was to have a stay. Well, that's now academic. There's no stay. It's not a function of you get that and you can rebuild it, because that's a separate issue. That is entirely a separate issue, and just because you win the stay doesn't allow you, and by the way, just because they win the rule doesn't allow, even if they were to prevail and go back to new rulemaking process, it doesn't allow you to repaint. So the whole purpose for joining the Fort Lauderdale lawsuit was for a stay.
No, it's not.
We did not get, well, go back and look at the tape. So we said that we're going to do a stay because at no point would we ever discuss the merits of that petition. At no point. So we're talking about, let's join Fort Lauderdale, who has a ad valorem in the range of, I don't know, $230 million. I thought it was a little higher, but someone said it was only 230. Okay, I'll take 230, but maybe they're dealing with last year's numbers. We're at about 105, 108, depending on what we end up with our millage. So they're twice our size. They didn't have to cut any things in their budget because they had sufficient revenues coming in to carry their budget. And the other we'd love to talk about is Miami Beach. Well, they have $300 million in ad valorem, and they've got a $20 million surplus. But Little Delray Beach is the one that we should be joining in because it makes us feel good to join in this lawsuit, which, by the way, we don't even have the interchange anymore to get the stay. There will be no stay applicable. And the current petition that's underway, every community in the state of Florida will be able to take advantage of it. So to pursue this when there's no intersection at issue essentially is a reckless expenditure of taxpayer dollars. We have a fiduciary obligation to even make some scintilla of whether or not we could win. And what does a win look like? If the win means we just go back and they make the rule and we're in the same place, well, that's not a win. Right. We can say, oh, yeah, we got the thing. You don't undertake litigation because for the sake of just saying we want to feel good about it when you're dealing with taxpayer dollars. If you want to fund it yourself, but not with taxpayer dollars. So, and this is on the backdrop on Monday where we're going to be, the raising the millage because we don't have enough money. Well, I guess we do have enough money if it's for the Pride intersection. We apparently have enough money to enter into a lawsuit that we cannot win, And we don't even have we can't even get a stay anymore because the interchange is gone. So this is reckless. It's a reckless disregard, by the way, of taxpayer money. And I'm urging that, you know, if we got to raise taxes, which because everybody says we need to, I'm not raising my taxes to pay this. So it's not even a justiciable issue anymore. That we don't have anything, that we cannot get a stay because there's no intersection. The merits of the thing is a rulemaking process, which they can turn around in a heartbeat and make the change. This is the power of the state. Because nobody is suggesting, and all the briefs that I read, and I read them all, nobody is suggesting that the Department of Transportation does not have the rulemaking capability to do exactly what they did in this. And by the way, just because they sent out letters doesn't mean it constitutes a rule. They still got to win that point. And that's going to be a long shot. So we can keep spending money for when we don't have to spend it, which is, as I said, there's no stay that we can get. So just to feel good, we want to do this, we want to fight for this, we don't like what the state's doing. Yeah, I know. Neither did Orlando, neither did Daytona, neither did Key West, who didn't challenge us because they made the determination, if you go back to their minutes, that they couldn't win. Right. Now, that's relevant before you start spending taxpayers' money to think you got a shot at winning. We do not. So I'm urging that when we get to this, to start making our motions, that the motion is going to be that we cancel the determination because there has been an intervening fact. When we made that motion, you know, a couple days ago when it was adopted, we had an intersection. We don't have it now. And that is a superseding intervening fact in law, which means it renders that whole decision completely subject to a reevaluation because the basis of it is gone. So that's my statement. So, Mr. Long?
Yeah, I would argue there is no intervening fact because after we made the vote, Missy, our public works director, came up here and we actually had a whole conversation about sandblasting it ourselves. And we thought that was going to be the outcome. And at no point did we discuss undoing the vote or redoing it because we knew that was a potential outcome because the vote wasn't just about the stay for the crosswalk. Protecting the crosswalk was a bonus. The vote was about the memo. No, I'm going to talk now.
I'm going to let you speak. Because,
thank you. I didn't interrupt you.
No, you didn't. Thank you.
So let's review. Right? On Tuesday, 3-1 vote, we directed our attorney to file an unadopted rule challenge to FDOT's memo. That vote wasn't about a single crosswalk. It was about stopping FDOT from enforcing a memo like it's a law without rulemaking. A point Miami Beach is already pressing, and Fort Lauderdale is moving to join. Since then, what we anticipated happened. Terrence warned us that was a possible outcome. We talked about doing it ourselves. It is not an intervening fact at all whatsoever. We discussed it. In fact, we almost gave Missy permission to go and do it ourselves. So it hardly changes anything. So this meeting is really an effort to overturn the will of the commission, which is something that I think is ethically questionable, Mayor. So FDOT came at midnight, painted the intersection black, started sandblasting it the next morning. That does not change the rationale for our case. I think, if anything, it confirms it. So you're saying we can't challenge FDOT because they might cut our funding. The funding statute, 316-0745, the Florida statutes, allows withholding for additional violations. Doesn't bar cities from using the Administrative Procedure Act to test an unlawful policy. That's all we're doing. If you recall, the crux of our vote was to get our day in court. That's what this was about. They can't deny us funding for doing that. And after the DOT removed our crosswalk, we are now in compliance at the site. So the predicate for that funding threat is gone now. What would be risky is ignoring Tuesday's directive, waiving our rights to our day in court, and inviting more midnight unilateral actions on our streets. The right course is simple. File the petition that we already had a consensus to do here and coordinate with these peer cities and defend our home rule. And by the way, Lynn already wrote the brief. It's already drafted. We haven't spent a dime We can file it tomorrow, and it isn't costing us anything. If we want to reassess this after we filed it, before we spend any money to continue to challenge it, we can do that at any point, and we can withdraw it. But we've already given direction to file this. Nothing changes that. And the risk to our funding, and Lynn, correct me if I'm wrong here, how do you assess our current risk to funding as it's stated based on what they have sent us?
We are in compliance now, so there's no pavement markings in the intersection, so we're not in violation. The statute that you cited does state that any additional violation by a public body or official shall be cause for withholding of state funds deposited.
Is this
So
a
it's
violation?
an additional violation.
And that's in the August 15th letter from FDOT. And any
So
additional is very
I had a
broad.
quick, I just wanted to finish.
Have your chance.
So that Florida statute it's narrow. Statute 316.0745 is narrow. It authorizes FDOT to require conformity and for additional violations to temporarily withhold state transportation trust fund dollars until compliance is shown. It's not a blanket threat to pull funds because the city files a lawful APA petition. We are entitled to do that. We are now in compliance at the site, so the predicate for withholding is gone. In conditioning state dollars on not funding our filing, a 120.56 unadopted rule challenge would run afoul of the unconstitutional conditions doctrine in our right to a petition.
Well, you know,
It's retaliation for using the process the law provides. Our job is to defend Delray under the statutes and the APA, not to be chilled by a threat that the law doesn't actually support.
well, I mean, I'm going to let everyone speak, but I'm going to get back to you because I'm going to give you time, not to ask Lynn. You want to quote all the statutes and everything. I am happy if you want to give me a good legal argument which makes this case winnable. Winnable.
There's none.
Not just I can spend money, I can sue anybody for anything. Public dollars, give me some reason you
We
think
haven't spent
it
any
is-
money yet. It costs no money to file the
Excuse me.
petition that we voted
We
on.
spent money,
You've
we
moved
spent money.
the goalpost.
It costs
You
no
keep
money.
you keep moving the goalposts. Remember, if we do this,
we already voted on this. This happened.
Excuse me. If we do the informal hearing, we all said, "Don't worry. If we lose the informal hearing, we'll
We
go ahead
didn't
and
all say
comply."
that.
Well, lost that, but then we didn't like that.
No,
decided
we
needed to do
actually
this.
motioned to disqualify the hearing officer because we never got
Which
a
we
fair
lost.
hearing.
We
So
lost.
now
There was
we are
lost.
simply asking for an administrative
can I
judge.
Excuse me. Can I finish? I'll give you. I'm
Please.
not just.
We've
I
been
spent
over
a
this.
lot
We
of
had
time.
the same argument
I
on
spent
Tuesday.
a lot of time dealing with administrative law people on this issue. We cannot win. You feel good about
That's your
joining the law.
opinion.
We don't even have, and for you to,
That's your opinion.
For you to sit here, okay. Well, it was the opinion of the Orlando. I mean, if it was winnable,
You
every
don't,
other.
that's
every,
conjecture. You don't know why they abandoned this.
okay.
You have no
I don't.
idea.
Okay. So,
It's your opinion. We won't win it. Fine. But it's your
but
opinion.
The point is.
Gentlemen, can I ask a favor? This is a big issue for our city, and I need you guys to dial it down.
We're dialing
We
down.
don't have to be enemies up here.
Well,
We
no,
can-
I'm just.
This is a
Rob and I
big
have had healthy
issue.
discussions
You
like
may
this
be
before.
on different sides of the issue, but I think we can dial it down and all be civil to one another. I think at a minimum, that's all I'm asking.
Well, all I'm saying, it is not winnable. And we can pretend that, because understand that this petition has to do with the rulemaking, not the underlying law, not the Constitution, underlying that whether or not the Department of Transportation complied with the rulemaking rules in order to promulgate and to create a rule that was enforceable under the Florida Administrative Code. Now, in every single one of these things I've seen, and again, I'm not going to ask you to, Lynn, because you'll get your chance to speak as well, but in every single one of these cases I have seen, they always allowed the municipality or federal or government agency or whatever it is to go back and redo the rule so that it does not disqualify the action. It does not mean that they can't go back and do it. It's a rule-making thing.
Right.
So there is a huge, and I don't want to, I mean, I could sit here and ask you, how do you think you could be winnable? But I know, look, it's an unfair question because it's my business and
We've
not
never
yours.
gotten a fair day in court. That's all we've been asking
But
for.
you keep talking, now we're moving
That's
the
all we've been asking
goalposts.
for.
Now we're moving the goalposts.
Because we haven't gotten it
Let's-
yet.
let's-
Because we
no.
haven't gotten it yet.
Let's
why we
remember.
filed the motion to
let's
disqualify
go
the hearing
back and
officer.
Let's go back and look at all the tapes as I did, and I can recite
No, we're
them.
relitigating the same exact argument that you made on Tuesday.
Excuse me. You said if we all agreed that we would go to this informal hearing, and if we lost, okay, we would then do it. Okay, we lost.
We didn't lose. We
Well,
motioned
no.
to disqualify the hearing
Excuse
officer
me.
because
there
we
was a
didn't
fi-
get a hearing.
There was a final order both on the disqualification of the officer and on our things. There were two final orders. So we lost. But she doesn't like that. So now you're talking about going to a lawsuit.
Much like you didn't like our decision Tuesday, so we're back here.
Okay, can we,
Because
Mayor,
we don't have an intersection anymore, because if you go back and look at the
That
tape,
wasn't
and
what
you
it was
can-
about.
You can try to
We knew
rewrite-
that was gonna happen.
You can try to rewrite it as much as you want, but we all sat there and said, will we get the stay? Will we get the stay? The answer is, yes, we'll
The
get the
vote was
stay.
not predicated on that, and you know it.
could we move on and just start,
I'm sorry.
it's fine. I just
Ms.
think
Casal,
the
would you
points
like to
aren't
have the
being
floor?
properly
Can I
made.
just make one point?
Yes,
Yes.
I don't want you to forget there is public comment.
right.
Oh, are we supposed to do public comment?
Can we keep talking and then do
You
public
can, it's
comment?
fine,
Thank
but I
you.
just don't want you to forget to open it
I
up.
won't forget
just
to open it up to
would
public.
like
Before
to
we
say-
make any decision,
I'll remind you.
we will open it up. Please don't let me forget.
Luckily, there's barely any members of the public here since they had zero notice, practically.
Okay, well, they
The way we're doing it now, I guess.
That's
Or
an
maybe they know
unfair
that it's not
statement
winnable.
because we were
You're
accommodating
right.
your
Do you think
schedule.
that's why? Because we had full rooms of people every other time we
maybe-
talked about
I don't
this.
know. That's because we still had an
There's-
we had an intersection
There's
then.
3 people here now.
Right,
It was full every other time we
right,
talked about
because
it.
We had an intersection then. They wanted to stay. They got their stay,
Right.
but we lost.
Do you really think that's it?
I don't know. You're the one saying
You
you
really think
can't
that's it?
speculate. You're the one saying you can't
Gentlemen.
speculate why they did something.
Okay, if I may, listen. I agree with the mayor, we can't win. And I'll give you all the reasons why momentarily. From the beginning, I didn't even want to participate in the administrative hearing. It was a waste of taxpayers' time and a waste of money. Any read of that letter told you were losing that hearing the second you walked in the door. Don't bother going. We sent Howard Dubasar, lovely gentleman, probably one of the highest paid in his firm, 3 top employees, the highest paid employees in the city of Delray Beach, to Orlando for a hearing that, if you read this letter, they basically said, don't bother coming here for an extension. You're not keeping it. You can come here and talk about this, that, and the other thing, but you're not keeping it. And it said, this is our second notice, and if it's not gone by September 3rd, we're coming and we're taking it. And that was what the letter said. It says very, very clearly, the issues are straightforward and involve only interpretation of the law and the national and state engineering standards. Please be advised that the hearing will not involve a request for an exception or a waiver to permit the non-conforming pavement markings to remain in place. The department has already reviewed the pavement markings at the location mentioned above and determined that they will not be allowed. We knew before the hearing, which is why I didn't want to waste our valuable taxpayer money or time, that we had no chance of a successful situation coming out of this. And there's a whole other bunch of reasons in this letter that said you're not going to win. So you all decided to go nonetheless. I did not, and fine. I agreed that what the mayor says is true. I voted no, but the idea was exhaust this hearing and then we're done. Now, you are moving the goalpost while you're complaining that he's actually doing that. But the bottom line is, on that day I said, why can we just not relocate this to another place in the city and recognize this in another way? I'm not done, Mayor. Our lovely Ronnie
I
out
was
here
just
had an
reaching for my bottle
amazing,
of water.
oh, I'm
I
sorry. I
wasn't-
thought you were going to pipe in. Our lovely Ronnie had an amazing idea about a monument. Richard Bay had a great idea about using a projector to project an image on, walls. Winnie Edwards had a brilliant idea about these trees that are wrapped. There is a way we can continue to recognize, but we don't have to risk $60 million of taxpayer funding. We are. I
No, we're not.
can't believe you keep saying that to me.
We're not.
Let's go through the list of things that have been defunded this year alone by the state. Don't tell me that. That's
It would be
baloney.
unconstitutional
You're
for
not
them to do
doing
that.
any reading.
Yeah. Literally, I just read the statute.
Unreal.
And we're going to, you again, everything
I
you
read the
talk about
statute.
requires us to file another lawsuit. You're not even going to be here. With due respect,
You won't
you're going to
be
be up in Tallahassee
and
making
you,
these laws.
you don't seem concerned at all about spending the money in this way, and I frankly am.
What money? Lynn already
Well,
wrote
we're
the
paying
petition.
DOT for 3 visits to our intersection.
You-
We're
I
going to
know-
pay it for the
I-
first
excuse me, I
night
just
of
wanna make one
painting.
point of order.
Go ahead.
That proves my
when-
point.
when-
We're going to
when-
do whatever they want, and we're going to
the
pay for it
statement that-
No,
too.
we
the
didn't-
statement
we're
that you
not
just
letting them
made
do what they
shows
want.
just
They're in
how little you
charge.
know about how the
You
law and
guys are all
administrative law.
talking over one another.
No.
We went through this whole Robert's Rule of Order class, and no one's following it.
Well,
We're
actually,
not.
I am.
And you're the chair. You're supposed to stop it. It's passion, but it doesn't belong here right now. We need to be factual.
I am
This
being
is
factual.
something
Give me,
I'm being
show me how it
factual.
will be.
This is something that's
I'm being
important to
factual.
our community. We owe it to our community to sit up here and have a healthy argument or disagreement with one another that doesn't boil over. Because when the tempers boil over, we don't get to a good place. So
Okay,
all
can
I'm
I
asking-
finish, please? Because I was midway through.
You.
Thank you very
That's
much.
not my call, but
Thank
that's
you.
Tom's call.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I think there are other ways we can recognize, we can save ourselves money in the long run, and we are not gonna be fighting the state and jeopardizing our critical funding. And for anyone to say that we are not doing that in fighting the state, it's unrealistic. The state has control. Anybody watching, the new gun laws, the loss of the recent appeal, the demonstrated willingness to act swiftly and decisively in removing our crosswalk. Our governor has asserted that the law will be followed. He said, and this is his quote, "the easy way or the hard way." And I don't want to do the hard way because I think we can still accommodate this. And I really have to say to you one thing, Mr. Long. The other night you made a comment that I thought was extremely disrespectful to some of our residents. I don't always share all the residents' concerns. I am going to go. Thank you for that.
You have to always make it personal, though, don't you?
It
Here
is
we go.
personal
No.
because you made a
Go on.
comment that I don't represent those people, the people that don't want the Pride Crosswalk. We represent everybody.
When did I say I
Our
don't represent
secretary
those
in the
people?
meeting, I watched the meeting. Our secretary
accurate.
is getting calls
Not accurate.
throughout the course of the day, and it's 50-50. Some residents say, I support this, and some residents are saying, I don't. We represent everybody,
Yeah,
and
you're
we
taking that
have
out of
to do our
context, and
best.
it's inappropriate.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
It's inappropriate.
But I
So
do
you wanna-
think,
You're still going? Okay.
yeah, I am still
We
going.
had such a civil debate, actually, on Tuesday when you weren't here.
Okay, thank you, Rob. I know.
You know,
Yeah,
it
I
was
know.
nice.
I saw it. It
It was
didn't look
nice.
civil. Thank you.
I thought it was pretty civil.
I think we can
Didn't
say
you?
a few
I
words.
thought it was very civil.
Okay, that's good.
Because we didn't have these gotcha moments that you like to pull
Oh
every
Anyway,
yeah.
anyway,
What's the gotcha moment, Rob?
Where you
It's
try
if
to
don't
try to take
read
something I
things.
said out of context and make a
It
weird
wasn't
point.
out of context. Go back and watch the
Why don't we
video.
just continue with your statement?
I'm saying if people are saying that there couldn't be a monetary consequence, that is remarkably unrealistic.
I just
I'll
read you the
say
statute.
Disney. Okay, let's talk about Matt Forrest's email to us on April 9th. You have so many.
Then we did our Pride Festival and nothing happened, right? What
No,
happened?
we lost money. We didn't get some of our funding
What
this
happened?
year. We didn't
That
get
had
some
nothing
of
to
our
do with
funding.
it. Appropriations that
You
were done by
have
then.
no idea what had to do
Really,
with
you've
it.
never been to
You
Tallahassee.
had
You,
no
you,
idea
I have no idea.
what had to do with it. You don't, and you don't, and we
You think
won't
you think you know more about our local government than I do? You don't know anything about it.
I think I know a lot more about the law than you do, and we're
Okay.
not going to win this case. The mayor is absolutely correct. There is no way. We should not be taking the taxpayers' money to litigate an issue for another city. If they are successful, then we can
It's
turn
for
around
our
and
city.
follow
It's for
them.
our residents.
It's not. Half of our residents don't want this.
But half of them do.
Actually,
And
I would
you're making
tell
up
you-
those numbers, by the way.
No, I'm not. Ask,
Half.
Ask,
Where are you getting half?
Ask our
Exactly half?
administrative assistant what the phone calls coming in are.
And that's how we're
50-50.
quantifying that it's half?
It's the best way I can at this moment.
Yep.
It really is.
I'm gonna do
I
a
think
point
when
of order
people
on
are
this.
calling in, that's a good way to quantify it. I do. I'm sorry. And when she's saying is getting calls all day long, and they're 50-50. And when I talk to people who are
Who's calling, not half of the residents.
Correct.
no,
We don't
no,
know, right?
yeah,
Half of who's
all of
calling.
the people calling, half and half. And I just don't see why you take such offense to considering moving our recognition to somewhere else and having
Well, I
it be
think we
something
absolutely
else.
should, but I also think we should stand up for home rule because that's what we were elected to do.
Well, we're doing that.
And we agreed we want our fair day in
We've
court.
taken on SB 180. We are fighting for home
Yeah,
rule. This
we're
is
So
not a
why
home-
wouldn't we do this?
This is not a home rule issue.
Same thing.
No.
It's
not.
absolutely a home rule issue. Are you kidding? They came in without a work permit, painted over our intersection, our streets, city-owned streets.
They gave
Then
us
they grinded it up.
ample notice, over a month's notice, and they gave us a letter before that letter that gave us
They
notice.
removed one of our public symbols. We didn't agree to that. We didn't comply with that.
Well,
They had
you
no
gotta make up
permits.
your mind what it is. Is it street art or is it a political symbol?
I didn't say political
you gotta do
symbol.
one or
I
the
said
other.
public symbol.
Okay.
I
Well,
didn't say political
Listen,
symbol.
I just think we've expended
Symbol,
a lot of
street art,
money, a
synonymous.
lot of time. We don't even know, city manager, do we know what FDOT is charging us? Because I saw how many people in trucks they had out there one day, and they've been here 3 times.
No, if I may, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to respond to that effect.
Thank
To
you.
answer the question, I don't know. That hasn't been offered as of yet. However, over the past couple of days, a lot of conversation or dialogue I shared with the commission this past Tuesday evening, I've been able to initiate communication with the Office of District 4 Commissioner Steve Braun regarding our concerns, as well as the fact that the Davis Cup is coming up tomorrow. I basically inserted myself, ladies and gentlemen, to do what I can to engage with them and collaborate with them, recognizing that they are here. They've executed every directive that they committed to executing. And I've talked to you all about this since August 19th. I'm reiterating a bit of what I talked about this past Tuesday in response to your
Do you know
question.
what the cost is going to be?
As I stated, I do not know.
Okay.
I've mentioned that earlier. I'm just also emphasizing that I'm doing as much as I possibly can to engage and connect so as to ascertain what that might look like as we go forward.
And the unfortunate outcome of this is, my understanding is, up until this, we had a very good relationship with FDOT. We have a lot of work going on in the city. And not having a good relationship with FDOT could be very problematic for our residents. Could
In my
slow down
interest-
all the work in the city, could create problems for us that are unexpected. I would rather have a good working relationship with another government agency than not, if we could. To the city attorney, is it unfair to estimate that if we jump into this litigation, you're looking at what, $100,000, $60,000? What are your thoughts on the cost?
Litigation's expensive.
Right.
I did prepare the petition myself because I didn't want to expend those funds knowing that the urgency was essentially gone. You know, initially the vote, and I know Commissioner Casale, you watched it, but you weren't here, but the vote really did center on the urgency to try to get that stay, to try to keep the intersection in its state pending any further court action. That didn't happen, so I did write it myself. But litigation's expensive. I mean, I would probably imagine at least 25,000, 30,000.
Oh, minimum.
Minimum. It's
Yeah.
not a court case, so it's not. You know, we're not. This doesn't go to court. It goes to an administrative judge. And again, it does depend on how many times the case is postponed, how much work is required, the evidence. So it's
you.
not. Litigation's probably 100,000, right? But
That's what I was thinking. I suggest we take that money, instead of spending it on litigation, allocate it to redirecting the pride
25,000, 30,000,
recognition
that's-
elsewhere in the city.
So 25,000, 30,000,
That's
that's your
my
estimate
motion.
for this hearing?
minimum.
Minimum.
Mayor, I think I've concluded. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Burns.
Well,
That's cool.
Just,
No, she's, Angela's awesome.
sad we're back here at the drawing board. But I think that, a lot of things have taken place. We were looking for that stay. We were, looking for the stay, looking for a fair day in court. We did change. We said that, once we gave directive to the city manager that if we, that first letter that we got, and we changed from that. The action has already happened. It's taken place. In my opinion, our petition no longer serves the original purpose. And there's no practical relief to seek, and I understand about the home rule, but, as we said, we have the SB 180 going off of home rule. So continuing, would not reverse the outcome. It would not reverse the outcome and may create unexpected expectations or false expectations to our citizens. So I think that, as you said, we still we have a duty to ensure our taxpayers that we use the money wisely. this is it's not easy. It's unfortunate. I agree. I talked to our city attorney, and then I'm sitting next to this distinguished attorney who has said that, we have these other two cities who are already involved in this lawsuit, and that all the cities in Florida will benefit from, if this comes out, if they get if it comes out on a positive note, that we all benefit from that. And so I just think that, we just can't undo what was done. And so we have an opportunity to show our residents and that we still value everyone in our city. We are a welcoming city. We are a city that, look for inclusion in any way that we can. So I just don't want to go down the hole of spending money. I mean, we're here at budget. We got to vote on the budget on Monday. It's just, I don't know. It's a tough decision here.
You're always so measured when you speak. I wish I could do that. I mean, I get very,
I'm sorry. I put a lot of thought into what I say.
I do too. I write it down, but that doesn't seem to help.
Yeah. So that's all I have to say right now. I want to also hear from, if our city attorney has anything more to say when it is her turn to say it, I would just like to listen to that, because I've also heard that, we're not gonna win. That it's, I hate to be fighting a losing battle when we know that going in. So that's where I am right now.
My turn? I know everybody can't wait for my opinion, I'm sure, but look, I came to this meeting with kind of an open mind tonight. I think a couple of nights ago, our situation changed pretty dramatically. I mean, FDOT came in and did what they did on the Pride Crosswalk. Like it or not, for me, that was a moment where the goalposts moved. A couple of nights ago, we voted on something where, the Pride Crosswalk was intact. That changed. It changed. We lost our art. To Julie's point, I also value the FDOT relationship. I don't want to put us in a hole with some of the other groups that we have to work with. But I came here with more of an open mind to all this, and actually really wanted to hear from the city attorney what our options were. And then once we clearly had agreement up here about what the options are, then we could have a healthy dialogue. And I think a lot of it is spilled out, like what the upside is and what the downside is. I mean, I think a lot of it is spilled out, but I would still like it, when it's appropriate, Mr. Mayor, for Lynn to outline. I think that's what Angela's saying.
I think we've each taken our time to ask Lynn questions. If you would certainly like to explore something with her, go ahead and.
I just would like to hear from Lynn, because she's neutral, what the options are, and then we can weigh the pluses and the minuses on each of the options, and see what's best for our city and our town. But I do recognize from 2 nights ago, our goalpost moved. I mean, I went down there yesterday. What was there isn't there. So there is a situational change that we have to deal with.
So the options are essentially still the same. The only thing that's really changed between Tuesday and today is the sense of urgency to act. And the sense of preservation, I guess. We were really preservation of what was there. The goal, as I understood it, was that we needed to get just something filed to preserve what was there, so that we would at least have it in place pending any further judicial determinations. So that's changed. The mayor is correct in the sense that the petition seeks to undo a memorandum that essentially prohibits what we did. And it was like almost like a retroactive prohibition, because when we put it in there, it was not prohibited. So it would seek to undo that. And so there's nothing to undo at this point, right? Because it's gone. Potentially, if, and it is a big if, and we've always talked about it, it is a very uphill battle. Administrative law judges, it's not, it's almost like a quasi judicial proceeding. So it's not the formality of a courtroom. It's not, you don't have the same protections that you would have in a courtroom, even though there are still some that exist. But at the end of the day, when you do an administrative appeal, it's if you win, you just get a do-over. So it's not like when you go to court and you have damages and the court can say, Angela Burns prevailed, I'm going to fix her. I'm going to fix her losses. That's not going to happen from this. So if you lost money and you sued and you won, the court could order the other person to pay you back the money. So you're made whole. These proceedings would not make us whole. What they would do is they would essentially give FDOT the opportunity to either appeal and take it further to the courtroom, the District Court of Appeal, or to fix it. And how do they fix it? They just redo it. They basically go through the rulemaking process. They can adopt, move to have a law adopted by the legislature. So there's a lot of opportunities to fix it. So I don't, I didn't want to give the false impression that if we won in court, that somehow it was this and we can redo the streetscape, because that's not, more likely than not, that was not what was going to happen. It's almost like a battle of principle, right? So you're fighting for the principle, and the principle was from the onset this home rule, this overreach by Tallahassee, by FDOT. And so if we went to court and if we prevailed, FDOT would continue to litigate. I'm very confident in saying that. Or they would go back and fix a mistake and have a do-over. And so I don't feel that in this, in this government right now, that the setting that we're in, that we're going to ever be in a position right now where that art is going to be able to come back anytime soon. I don't see that in this political environment. And so I think that's something that we need to consider. I think that everybody was well-intentioned on Tuesday to try to get that stay, to try to keep what we have. But like everybody's saying, the next morning, there was sandblasting, there was painting, and unfortunately now it's gone. And so, so I think the options are still the same, but I just think that the realistic result of what we're going to get out of this is not there anymore. I hope that helps.
Can I just one question? Can you talk a little bit more about what the option would be if we chose to join the existing litigation?
So I just want to be clear.
What would that mean to us?
It's joining in the sense that we're adopting the same petition, but it's not like a class action litigation.
Right.
Like the SB 180, that's a class action litigation. We're joining other cities and counties in that litigation. It's a group of us that are attacking it. These are still individual petitions that are being filed. They're just mirroring each other, with a slight variation in the facts. And so if it's any consolation, the petition that was filed by Miami Beach and Fort Lauderdale, it does have language in there that if this memorandum is declared unenforceable, it will apply to everybody. Right. So everybody that's been hit with this memorandum and these notices and these letters from the FDOT, it would apply to all of us.
Can you say that one more time? That's
the consolation part.
No, you're so good at that. That's
but
good
I
to
think
know.
that's important. So because initially, yes, we did it to preserve what we had, but now that that's shifted, we could still potentially benefit from this. Right. And the benefit is, if the memorandum is unenforceable and the administrative law judge and wherever this ends up going says that pavement art is okay and they didn't adopt it properly and FDOT chooses not to conduct proper rulemaking and there's no statute or MUTCD or Green Book that says otherwise, then yes, we will have the benefit that we could potentially bring back the pavement art. Don't interpret that to think that that's really realistic, right. But that's the ultimate goal. But we would be able to benefit from what these other cities are doing, and we're almost just riding their coattails without having to,
Right.
fork up the money.
Thank you. That explains things to me very
Super
clearly.
helpful,
Thank you. Yep.
actually. Thank you.
Should we do public comment before we talk?
Ready to go. This meeting is open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak from the public, please come to the lectern. You will each have to give your name and address for the record.
Okay.
You will each have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
You're on.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ronnie Denaire. I live at 2916 Southwest 22nd Circle, Delray Beach, Florida. My wife and I moved here 25 years ago. We bought our first home here. The first 5 years that we were here as New Yorkers, we did the snowbird thing. And the reason we did that was to see if this town would be where we wanted to relocate, where we felt safe, where we felt accepted, and where we felt positive about where we were after being New Yorkers. It turns out we did. We still do. I actually, many, many years ago, had the privilege of sitting on a commission meeting to talk about downtown development. And I was asked to join because they wanted a gay perspective as they were going forward. So I felt very good and very inclusive about that. With regard to where we are right now, I've been an advocate for human rights for many, many years. I do not like being put up against a bully. However, I know we get to a point where that bully is totally overpowering us. And there comes a point where we have to make a strategic move to do something else to perpetuate our value and to keep what we want to happen. And I think, unfortunately, we've reached that point. I've listened to all of the conversations back and forth, and it's very, very difficult. I'm a big believer that we should do as much as we can, but again, we do have an entire community to represent and respect and take care of. So I'm at the point in my thinking where I would really like us to come up with a strategy where we can move forward, where we can hold on to the value of our gay population, where we can continue to embrace the diversity and find another way to express who we are in another situation where we are all safe. So I want to thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello again. Nicholas Capola, 3930 Lowson Boulevard, 33445. You know, it's kind of sad that we're a symbol that was really supposed to bring us all together has kind of become something of division. But in fairness, this is way past that rainbow. This is about home rule. And there's been a statement here, 50-50. If you use social media as a barometer, more people, even folks who didn't agree with the symbolism of the rainbow, were in support of fighting this because of home rule. So if we're going to have that, it's an important conversation. And also, we're talking about winning. We can't win this. You know, it popped into my head. I remember I was a brown belt in karate, and I wasn't a fighter, wasn't a physical fighter. But I knew if I went into a fight, and I knew I was going to get my butt kicked, I still went in and fought. I stood up. We're hearing about, I'm a voter. My partner and I are very happy here. Let's be clear. This is not a reflection on Delray Beach. Without a doubt, there is not a minute that I've ever felt unwelcome in this city, my partner and I. This is more than that, and I'm begging you to please look beyond that. And I understand it's a very difficult decision, and I'm not saying either way. I will support the decision that comes from you guys. However, I understand the money part, but maybe we could set a not to exceed. Maybe set a threshold to see where we can go and how far we'll go. Maybe we could partner with Fort Lauderdale and Miami Seams because maybe they have a little more and we could break it down proportionally. We could figure out to maybe join forces to stand up for something. Now, May, I know we're not supposed, but you're an attorney. Isn't it somewhat of a contradiction that we had a vote from this day as to really join SB 180? Correct? Now, by not supporting this violation of home rule, could that work against us? To say, hey, well, listen, you guys let this go by, but now you want to fight home rule. This is an electrician asking a legal question, so that was only that. But I'm really...
I'll sign an engagement letter with you there, and I'll turn on the stopwatch and get you an answer.
I really was. It was just a few things. And by the way, as far as a replacement, which we use, that was said from the very beginning. When I spoke to the city manager, Mr. Moore, and Rob Long, and even Mr. Mark, we knew that was not an issue. We really need to remove this. This is not about discrimination. Nobody has come to this dais and insinuated that. But I do think, and one of the things I came to Florida, as Ronnie came here, I've come here full-time 10 years, I've been coming here 40 years. One of the many things that attracted me was home rule. I knew when I moved to Delray Beach, I knew what I was buying into. It's no secret, I own a few properties, I'm very happy about that. When I go to zoning, I know what to expect. I know I'm not seeing tall buildings, I know where I am. This, to me, is a compromise, and to say that we're not standing up, we need to stand up to the bully. Thank you.
Thank you. I wasn't cutting you off. I knew I could see the thank you coming out. So just thank you. Wouldn't be complete without you coming up, Mr. Long. I mean,
George Long, 46 North Swinton. Well, everybody covered about everything I was going to say. Actually, I made a list, and I went down the list checking it off. I think I see which direction this is going, but I would like to say that there's nothing wrong with Mr. Long's ideas, because he's talking about, as he sees it, and I kind of see it that way too, we're just kind of questioning a law. We're asking a question about it. How could the state penalize us and withhold money? Talk about unethical, illegal, to punish somebody for questioning the law. So I'll point that out. But you guys go ahead and do what you, I know what you're going to do, it's fine. Whatever you do, I'll go along with it. But I'll go ahead and mention these things that I brought up just for a second. I was going to say that disagreement is a good thing, because you get to see all the consequences. You get to worry about the ramifications and what's going to happen. That's fine. And then I was also going to mention the Daytona crosswalk. Now I'm doing it because that represents a couple things to me. First of all, they painted over that, and that was not a safety issue. That made it very, very safe. The checker crosswalk is very safe. And also, there's nothing political about that or cultural about that. It's a racetrack. Why the hell, you know? So those arguments about safety and cultural and political statements, they're no good. They're not good at all. So anyway, the midnight painters are not doing anything for our safety and our political issue. And also, this is what I said before, withholding funds when there's a legitimate challenge would be very unethical. And also, saving the artwork it's bigger than that, as was just stated. There's a lot going on here. We're looking at somebody who's trying to inappropriately push us with a lot of unjustified power to tell us what to do, and we're fighting that, as well as the painting over the crosswalk. So up to you guys. I'm glad that everybody went over it, but there's nothing exactly. Anybody who's lost this argument had really good and correct observations also.
thank you very much, Mr. Long. Are there any other members of the public wishing to speak? Then public comment is closed. I want to address a couple of the comments that were made, because I don't think there's anyone up here that is happy with how this transpired. I've said it when I said it on the dais last time. I said it when I was interviewed by the TV out there. I believe this was an overreach. I would rather if they were going to do it, I would rather they let us do it on our own. I truly believe all that. But sometimes you got to play the cards you were dealt. And while it's very easy to say, well, we should join Miami and Fort Lauderdale, having been involved in, as you said, as a lawyer, been involved in situations where 2 or 3 or 4 groups are getting together, I will just tell you that the big gorilla in the room, for example, the city of Miami Beach, who has a $20 million surplus, they will run up legal fees. And you will be responsible for them because you're part of the coalition. So what you say is, by saying, well, let's put a cap of $25,000, $15,000, $100,000, whatever it is. You get to the number, and then you've invested all that time and money and effort into the case, but it's eclipsed that number and it's going forward. So realistically, as much as it's great to say let's do a cap, you can't, because then you can't really get out of the case. If it were that simple, well, lawyers would be broke. But if it were that simple, you know, people would do it. You can't, because once you get involved in litigation, the cheapest part of litigation is filing the complaint or filing the petition. That's the cheapest part. The real work comes after all the hearings, where everybody's charging $400, $500, whatever, how many $100 an hour they're charging. And it will just get run up, because There will be some who say, I'm fighting this, when you have unlimited funds, you can fight on principle, PLE. When you don't have unlimited funds, I got to be careful about fighting for principal. And so that's why I'm saying, that's fine, let's discuss it, but how can you win? Because at the end of the day, you got to win. Because otherwise, it's a waste of taxpayers' money. And I don't want to gamble, which is what it is. We don't know what it's going to do, but I know the following. I know what the governor said. I know that they were but everyone's saying, well, they're not really going to do anything. They came in, didn't even give us time to file anything. They came in here with their sandblasters. So I think they've demonstrated exactly how they're going to approach the situation. And so to pretend that it's that somehow by joining a lawsuit as the dramatically junior partner, who doesn't even have, essentially, can't even get a stay because they don't even have the intersection anymore to deal with, is just, it's gambling money that we just don't have. I don't want to be going to taxpayers and saying, we need more money for this, that, and the other thing, and oh, by the way, we're going to enter into this lawsuit we can't win, even if it's only $25,000, even if it's only $5,000. Because you don't, I just, the situation has changed. I am not happy with it. I was there at 6 o'clock in the morning. I remember the first time I was there at 5:30, and then I was at 6. And I went there, and I wrote to them, I said, this is horrible. And I said, this is horrible, what they were doing. I couldn't believe that they didn't even give us 11 and a half hours to come into compliance. We got the order, the lawyers got the order at about 5. We all got it as commissioners around 9. And by 5:30 in the morning, they were out there doing it. So we didn't even have one business day, considering a business day is from 9 to 5. We didn't even have one business day to react. And I think that was wrong. That doesn't mean I think we can win, because as I said, I think they should have allowed it to do us ourselves. So this is just about, if these two petitions didn't say, if we prevail, and we have lots of money to try to do this, which you don't want to get caught into being the third partner in trying to do something and then waste the money and have to walk away. We get the same deal by having them spend all the money, because if they prevail, we prevail. If they don't prevail, well then, geez, we save some money. As my point was the other night, and I meant it the other night, and I mean it tonight, this is not something we're going to win. I think we should be spending our time focusing on what we can do. That's the pie in the sky, what we can't do, and it's never going to become, ever have us realize a gain. That's all I want to focus with. I kept calling it Plan B. But we all know we're talking about, because I'm quite confident that, people like Nick Coppola, who, is his organization, and others that were here, can help us cleverly find a way where we can address this issue, so that the people that are concerned about whether there's a demonstration of inclusion, we can do that. But I just don't want to do it at taxpayers' money, which I can't get back when I'm asking taxpayers to pay more money for other things. So that's kind of course it's home rule. Everything is home rule. I am certainly not happy with I don't like what they did with the Live Local Act. We're losing industrial property in this town. There's nothing I can do about it. And frankly, there's nothing I can do here except join a lawsuit to feel good and spend money when I got two big guns spending real money and hiring big firms, that will do the job for us. That's prudent to sit and wait and see what they do instead of spending money. That's my only point. If we can pretend that we didn't get into this because we were looking for a stay, I would just urge everyone to go back and look at the meeting, and I think the city attorney articulated it well. That was the whole purpose. If we do this, we're going to get a stay, because we were worried about, if we do this, will we get a stay? That's what we were worried about. Unfortunately, we didn't get, as I said, we didn't even have a business day we couldn't have filed it at 9 in the morning. It had already been gone. I think the whole thing was handled with complete, utter disrespect to the city of Delray Beach. I don't know what Key West's situation is. I know they're not suing it because I think for the reasons I articulated earlier about the other cities. But it was completely disrespectful the way they treated us. And I've said it, and everybody has said it, but I got to play the cards I have. And that's why I'm suggesting to join a petition, which is only going to get us have to spend a bunch of money, which we cannot win. This is not a court case. This is interpreting rulemaking. And it's a very fine nuance. People have to understand there is a big difference. You articulated it well, I think. Because it's still, well, no, I'm just, because there's whole law school courses on rulemaking. It's not like it's a court case where I can win and I do it. If I win, they go back and they do the rule, and I still lose. So when I say there's no upside, there's no upside. There's only a downside.
So what did we do next?
Well, I don't know. I'm giving everyone a chance to speak.
I'll make my final comments.
Hey, I'm okay with your decision. You keep looking at me. I'm all right with
Well,
One
I can't say.
person here.
I looked over and I pointed to Nick, Mr. Coppola. Excuse me. I pointed to him, but again, our tennis pro is obscured by the screen here. So I
Golf and tennis. Okay, are we?
Yeah, I'd like to just make final comments and I'll be done.
I think that's right.
We can wrap this up.
Yeah.
So, we all agree this was pretty awful thing to happen to our city, I think, right? I mean, I just want to remind everyone that first they came in and they painted it black in the rain. They knew it wasn't going to stick. They did it anyway. So when we came in to get this stay, we were protecting something that was already half ruined, frankly. So to me, it wasn't about protecting it. It was about what we were going to do, what the principle was that it was at stake. That being said, so they did that. They knew it wasn't going to stick. They did it anyway. It seemed like they were just sending a message that we're going to deface something that is important to your community. Then they came in again after we spoke, blacked it out completely when it was dry enough out that they could actually do it correctly. And then they came and sandblasted it all anyway. Why black it out? Why black it out? They're going to charge us for it. They're going to charge us probably for 2 coats of black paint that they just sandblasted. Why do that? It's because they're sending a message. It's because they're sending a political message. That's what this is, right? Like, am I wrong?
I'm looking for
It's a message.
I'll say 2 things. First, I'm not going to second guess what they're doing, but it's clear that they didn't give us an opportunity. When I spoke to the FDOT person myself, when I went there the following morning, I said, I hope you're not going to bill us for this. He said, well, we're doing it. I said, well, listen,
Billing us.
you
We
never
know they
gave us
won't.
you never gave us the opportunity to do it.
Right.
You did self-help. I do not believe we should pay you for this. So
Are we
I don't
gonna-
know that I'm going to lose that point.
Are we going to fight that?
I don't know if
when
we're
they
going to
bill
win
us?
that point
If
either.
they're going to.
Well, it's going to be a very short fight, but I don't know
Right.
if I'm going to win that. But I do.
But you would be
think
willing to have that fight.
You're not
that,
willing
well,
to. You're not
against
winning.
getting a bill, yeah.
Mayor, you're
okay.
not winning that
So-
fight because in
I'm
the
not gonna win that fight either, but I'm
August
at least-
15th
But it's worth
letter,
having
they
out of
stated
principle,
that.
is what you're saying. That fight's worth having out of principle.
Money was
you know
spent.
we'll win.
There was a chance. I wouldn't spend a lot of money on it. I said it'd be a short thing because if I'm not going
Well-
to spend money on winning on something I'm not going to win
Well,
there either.
So my question about blacking at the intersection was more or less hypothetical, but I appreciate you weighing in, Mayor.
Well, I'm not going to hire those people to paint my house. I can tell you that right now.
I wouldn't. I give a bad review on Yelp or whatever. But so I think Nick hit the nail on the head, right? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I ran for this seat, I did it because I hate bullies. I hate bullying. And I can't think of a more obvious example of us being bullied and disrespected. And, in the meetings we've had, besides this one, which I will say again, was not noticed properly in my opinion. I'm not saying legally, I mean to actually allow for legitimate public engagement. In the other meetings we've had about this, it's like that first one was the most people I've ever seen in these chambers. I've got more calls about this than I've ever gotten about anything, more emails than I've ever gotten about anything. And when I go outside of the county, I was at the Business Development Board Gala over the weekend. People you wouldn't expect have come over and said, good for you for taking up this fight. Good for you. And listen, I understand the practical arguments. I understand that we won't win this. I know that. We knew when we agreed to move forward with the administrative appeal that it was an uphill battle. But we did it because we wanted a chance to at least make our case. Talk about the fact that our intersection was safer whenever we had the Pride mural in it. It was safer. By the numbers. That's indisputable. It was safer. And it made people happy. It brought joy to our community. It was a welcome mat to our community. So people like Ronnie and her wife felt welcome here. And we were robbed of that. Someone came in and took that away from us. So we go to battle all the time for home rule issues. And we take the lead on things where there is some risk. We took the lead on the PFAS issue here. We were leaders in that. We're recognized as that. Delray is a leader. This is our chance to lead. That's how people see us right now, as a leader. So you might think we're like in this Don Quixote state of delusion, but I don't see it that way. I see us as taking the lead on something for our residents, for a great offense that was done to us. Probably the most egregious incursion on our home rule that I've ever seen happen. And it is happening to lots of other cities. But it doesn't mean that we can't lead. We've done it before. And I actually think at this point, the risk is very low. We are in compliance now. Per the Florida statute, which I've already read into the record, they can't come after us. It would be unconstitutional. We have a legal right. We have a legal right to due process. We have not gotten that. That was the spirit of what we agreed to in that very first discussion about this. We filed a motion, Lynn filed a motion, or our legal counsel did, to disqualify our hearing officer because we did not get due process. That's what this is about. We're not going to win, but we should at least have our day in court. We should at least get to say, here's why this is safer. Do you think every single civil right, my dad's a civil rights attorney. So, tracks, right? So,
I like civil rights attorneys.
Do you think every case, I mean, I just went to the Civil Rights Museum. We were in Memphis a couple weeks ago. And it's amazing. They actually kept the hotel where Martin Luther King was assassinated. They kept the hotel intact, and they attached the museum to it. It's amazing. They talked about all, like Plessy versus Ferguson, all these different cases. And guess what? They all lost them initially, but it created precedents, right? People came back and tagged on to what they did because it matters. It still matters. Fighting the fight still matters. I'm not saying we take it to the end and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Lynn already wrote up the document. We already agreed to file it. This is for our residents. It's to show them that we care. And I agree. The conversation about Plan B, great. Let's have it. It doesn't mean we can't do this. Doesn't mean we can't still say that we're not going to roll over because we're a leader. And this mattered to our residents, and home rule matters to us. So that's my point. And I've made it over and over again, and I won't continue to make it.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Casal, any input?
No, I mean, I just think you kind of are making the full point, and the idea is it's a risk. If the DOT is going to come in here in the night, pour paint down, create a situation that we agreed was dangerous, they're sending us a message. And if we don't listen, what's the next message? And that's what concerns me, because I don't agree with you that there won't be consequences to noncompliance. I'm sorry, I don't. You're reading what's going on. You see what's going on. There are instances. I think the solution to this is to still represent our beliefs, but just in a different way. That's my feeling. I think Ronnie said it best. We're, unmatched in this battle. Thank you. Sorry.
I was just, was that Commissioner
Audible
Burns?
pause.
Waiting for something else? Oh, no.
Yes, we're waiting for you.
No, I think I've said all that I have to say. I think that, the goalpost moved. From my standpoint, I see it as different, and that, as you said, we have unlimited funds, and when you have unlimited funds, it's hard to fight on principle. And
I think you mean limited funds.
oh yes, limited. Yes, we're limited right now.
I like the unlimited
So
part,
then,
because I got some ideas.
and rather than fight this battle that we can't win, we should just move forward and show, our appreciation to our community in ways that that's meaningful, like we've always done. And sometimes you have to choose your battles, and maybe this is just not the one at this time. At this time we have another home rule issue going on, and so that's where I am.
Mr. Long. I mean, Mr.
Same
Mark-
thing.
Mr.
Same thing.
You're separated, but you look exactly
better
alike. You're the
looking,
two
but-
tall guys.
yeah.
You're tall guys.
I'm
I
better
don't-
looking. Yeah, it's fair.
can't believe I'm the short
I guess
one.
just a couple of quick comments from me. I love that Angela's using sports analogies now with the goalpost moving. I succeeded in convincing her that that was a good analogy. But the reality for me is the goalpost did move from where we were 2 days ago. I mean, like Mayor Carney, I went down and 2 days in a row and looked at what happened on our Pride Crosswalk, and the facts just have changed from where we were 2 days ago. I like, Lynn, that we can benefit from what Fort Lauderdale and Miami are doing, without putting a lot of risk from our end. And I think now it's very much time for us to focus on our future. I think we need to make the pride symbol better than ever. I think we should construct it, and we can talk about it on Monday. For me, a 90-day plan about how we get that going and we engage the community. And Mr. Coppola, I hope you can join that, because you've got great thinking on that. But I'd like to start talking about the future, and I think there's a real appetite in our community to put the symbol someplace else where it won't be bothered, but will still make the impact that it's been making in our community. Given the realities of where we are now, and the facts having changed so dramatically from 2 days ago, I don't think we should be risking tax dollars on this right now. I don't think that's what the overwhelming majority of our residents would want us to do. And given the fact that we have the possibility of benefiting if our sister cities prevail, we may get a win out of that. But I think it's time for us to aim toward the future, start mending the feelings in the community, and let's go find a great place to put that pride symbol, and let's get some great artists in here to do that, and let's make that a centerpiece, and let's not lose what was pressure washed off of our streets, because that it doesn't make us a loser, it makes us a winner. We're going to fight back. My 2 cents.
Just for the record, for you, Mr. Marker, Rob and I have very spirited debates. We both respect each other's opinions greatly. We can leave here and have a drink together after
I love that.
doing this whole thing together like this. So
that.
we're both passionate about what we believe.
If you're buying.
Huh?
If you're buying.
He never buys.
Yeah.
Well, I because it's.
Do we need to give our city a direction at this
I
point?
think we need. Do we need a motion of some kind?
So,
What do we need
for
to do?
purposes of clarity of the record, I would recommend that one of the 3 members of the commission who are on the prevailing side on Tuesday, Commissioner Burns, Commissioner Markert, or Commissioner Long, make a motion to reconsider the vote that was taken. That will rescind that original motion, and then you can do a motion to basically move forward without further action on this FDOT
Okay.
issue.
I'm not going to ask Commissioner Long, but can I get a motion to reconsider from either of you two with
So moved.
Thank you. Anybody can second it.
second? Oh no, I can't.
Well, you can.
I can. Second.
Perfect.
All in favor?
Do we do it? No, I think. Do we need to
I
vote?
would call
on
the
it?
roll.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
That's fine.
Okay.
we got
I
one.
think she said we should call the roll.
It's fine.
Oh,
It's
you want,
fine.
let's
do it.
call the roll.
This is over now.
Yeah. Amen.
Commissioner Marker,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Long,
No.
Commissioner Cassell,
Yes.
Deputy Vice Mayor Burns,
Yes.
Mayor Carney.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
And so now you can make a motion to cease any further petition filings in court concerning the FDOT non-compliance matter with the Pride Crosswalk.
Okay, now anybody can make that motion. So,
You
are
can
you
just
paying
say so
attention,
moved.
or are
So-
we-
so-
are we-
so-
are we-
I'm
are we-
so
supposed to be at
moved.
dinner. Yeah, we are keeping me.
So moved.
So moved. Okay. Second.
So moved.
All right. Can we have the roll?
Second.
Please?
Vice Mayor Long,
No.
Commissioner Cassell,
Yes.
Deputy Vice Mayor Burns,
Yes.
Mayor Carney,
Yes.
Commissioner Marker.
Yes.
You
Motion
just voted
passed.
for a salary increase. You know that. It's going to come out in the next election. That was just a little thing. So we have, I think our business here is concluded. Is there anything else anybody any comments that anybody would like to make?
Are we going to have on the agenda for Monday to talk about the Plan B?
Item 7A.
Okay.
Item 7A.
You can show it's still on.
Absolutely, because I've spoken about it, because I meant this sincerely. I want to focus on what I think we can do, what we can win, than And I'm anxious to have that conversation. I said it last week. I think we can do, got a lot of good collaborators here in Delray that can help us put something together and something meaningful. And it's on item 7A.
All right.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So
Do you
moved.
need a motion?
Do I need, I don't really,
No, you
I'm just gonna gavel it
crack
closed.
that gavel.